You know Edward G. Robinson as the legendary actor behind classics like Key Largo and Double Indemnity, but there's a darker chapter in his story that few know about. During the Red Scare, Robinson found himself entangled with the House Un-American Activities Committee, a moment that would stain his legacy. But here's the shocking twist. Robinson didn't just testify, he named names. Yes, the same man who brought gangsters to life on screen became a real-life informant. How did this Hollywood icon go from hero to informant? Stay tuned, because the truth is more scandalous than any film, but on April 30, 1952, Robinson made a decision that would forever stain his legacy. In a move that shocked Hollywood, he appeared before the House Un-American Activities Committee and named names, identifying communist sympathizers within the industry. This wasn't just a political statement, it was a betrayal of colleagues and a repudiation of his own past. Robinson publicly denounced left-wing organizations he'd been tied to in the 1930s and 40s, a stunning reversal that left many questioning his motives. Was it fear, opportunism, or genuine ideological change? The act divided Hollywood, with some praising his cooperation and others branding him a traitor. For a man celebrated for his tough guy roles, this moment revealed a different kind of toughness, one that came at a steep moral cost. Robinson's decision remains one of the most polarizing moments in Hollywood history, a stark reminder of the era's paranoia and the impossible choices it forced upon even the greatest stars. But the seeds of this scandal were sown years earlier, in 1949, when Robinson found himself in the crosshairs of the California Senate's Fact-Finding Committee on Un-American Activities, infamously known as the Tenney Committee. Led by the zealous chairman, Jack Tenney, the committee accused Robinson, a vocal progressive Democrat, of being frequently involved in communist fronts and causes. This was the height of the Red Scare, a time when mere accusations could destroy careers. Robinson, a man known for his powerful on-screen presence in films like Key Largo and Double Indemnity, was now fighting for his reputation off-screen. The investigation cast a shadow over his legacy, setting the stage for the fateful decision he would make in 1952. How did a Hollywood icon become entangled in such a scandal? And what drove him to take the stand that would forever change how he was remembered? But the most shocking chapter in Edward G. Robinson's story came on April 30, 1952. In a move that still sparks debate, Robinson appeared before the House Un-American Activities Committee and named names, publicly repudiating left-wing organizations he'd once supported in the 1930s and 40s. This wasn't just a quiet retraction, it was a dramatic about-face that left Hollywood reeling. Robinson, the tough guy icon of films like Key Largo and Double Indemnity, had become a symbol of the era's paranoia. But why? What drove him to betray his past allies? Some say it was self-preservation in the face of the Red Scare, while others whisper of deeper, darker motivations. Either way, this moment forever changed how we see the man behind the tough guy persona. Was it a principled stand or a desperate act of survival? You decide. But the most shocking chapter in Edward G. Robinson's story came on April 30, 1952. In a move that still sparks debate, Robinson appeared before the House Un-American Activities Committee and named names, publicly repudiating some of the left-wing organizations he had been associated with in the 1930s and 1940s. This decision, though controversial, was not entirely unexpected. Just 3 years earlier, in 1949, Robinson had been investigated by the California Senate's Fact-Finding Committee on Un-American Activities, known as the Tenney Committee. Its chairman, Jack Tenney, had accused Robinson, a vocal progressive Democrat, of being frequently involved in communist fronts and causes. These hearings left an indelible mark on Robinson's career and reputation, forcing him to navigate the treacherous waters of McCarthyism. Was it a desperate attempt to save his career, or a genuine change of heart? The truth remains, buried in the shadows of Hollywood's darkest era. But here's the twist. The man who became synonymous with gangsters and guns on screen couldn't stand the sight of them in real life. Yes, Edward G. Robinson, the ultimate tough guy of Hollywood's golden age, hated guns. During the production of Little Caesar in 1931, his discomfort was so extreme that his eyelids had to be taped open to prevent him from flinching every time he fired a weapon. Imagine that. The man who defined the gangster genre was secretly terrified of the very tools of his on-screen trade. This shocking contrast between his persona and his personal fears adds a layer of complexity to his legacy. How could someone so convincing on screen be so at odds with their character off it? It's a revelation that challenges everything we thought we knew about Robinson, blurring the line between the actor and the man. And now, the final twist in Edward G. Robinson's tumultuous tale. Despite a career spanning decades and iconic roles in films like Key Largo and Double Indemnity, Robinson was never nominated for an Academy Award. That's right, never. But here's where it gets even more dramatic. 2 months after his death, he was awarded an honorary Oscar. His wife accepted the award, tearfully sharing how thrilled he had been to learn he would finally be recognized. But the timing of this honor raises questions. Was it a genuine tribute to his legacy, or a belated attempt to make amends for years of oversight? Given Robinson's controversial appearance before the House Un-American Activities Committee, where he named names under pressure, the award feels like a bittersweet footnote. Was Hollywood trying to redeem itself, or was this just another chapter in the scandal-ridden saga of one of its toughest stars? The debate rages on, leaving us to wonder, what would Robinson have thought of this posthumous gesture? And now, a shocking revelation from the set of A Boy 10 Feet Tall, 1963. While filming in Africa, Edward G. Robinson suffered a heart attack, a scandalous production tale that adds another layer to his tumultuous life. Imagine the chaos on set, the crew in disarray, as the man who had portrayed some of Hollywood's toughest characters suddenly faced his own mortality. This incident, rarely discussed, highlights the physical toll of Robinson's relentless dedication to his craft. But what really happened behind the scenes? Was it the stress of the production or something more sinister? This scandalous moment remains a whispered footnote in Robinson's career. A stark reminder that even the toughest on-screen personas can't escape real-life drama. But the scandals don't end there. Beyond the tough guy persona and the heart-wrenching health scares, Edward G. Robinson harbored a secret obsession, one that would make even the most extravagant collectors blush. Robinson was a fanatical art lover, particularly enamored with paintings. But his passion didn't stop at mere ownership. No, it spiraled into a scandalous obsession with display. Robert Wagner, who knew him intimately, revealed a jaw-dropping tale. Robinson once purchased a Paul Cézanne painting, only to find it clashed with his living room. So he did what any rational person would do. He changed the mantle, then the wallpaper, then the furniture. But still, it wasn't enough. In a move that screams scandal, Robinson went to the extreme. He bought an entirely new apartment just to house the painting. Yes, you heard that right. An entire apartment just for one piece of art. This wasn't just love for art. It was a full-blown, headline-worthy obsession. And it's this kind of over-the-top behavior that adds another layer to the complex, scandal-ridden life of Edward G. Robinson. But the scandals don't end there. In the 1950s, Edward G. Robinson found himself at the center of one of Hollywood's most divisive feuds, the McCarthy-era witch hunt. On April 30th, 1952, Robinson made a shocking decision. He named names of alleged communist sympathizers in the industry and publicly denounced left-wing organizations he'd once supported in the 1930s and 1940s. This move was both a survival tactic and a betrayal, leaving many to question his motives. But why did he do it? The answer lies in 1949. when Robinson was investigated by the notorious Tenney Committee, accused of being frequently involved in communist fronts and causes. For an unabashed progressive Democrat like Robinson, this was a devastating blow. His tough guy persona couldn't shield him from the political crossfire. Was he a victim of the era's paranoia, or did he crack under pressure? The truth remains as murky as the scandals that defined his later years. But amidst the scandals and feuds, a hidden chapter of Robinson's life emerges, one that reveals a man of extraordinary talent and patriotism. Beyond his tough guy persona, Robinson was a linguistic prodigy, fluent in 7 languages, including Yiddish, Romanian, and German. This secret skill became a weapon during World War II. While many celebrities donated to the war effort, Robinson went further. He donated a staggering $100,000 to the United Service Organization, USO, and volunteered at the Hollywood Canteen. But his true impact lay in his clandestine work behind the mic. Using his multilingual abilities, Robinson crafted broadcasts aimed at Nazi-occupied countries, spreading hope and resistance. This shadowy wartime role adds a layer of intrigue to his legacy, proving that even in the darkest times, Robinson's talents served a greater cause. Yet, this heroic act remains overshadowed by the controversies that defined his later years. Was this linguistic genius a double-edged sword, or just another scandal waiting to be uncovered? But the scandals don't stop there. In a dramatic twist, Edward G. Robinson found himself at the center of a scandalous bidding war, not for a film role, but for a piece of presidential history. According to a 1941 issue of Time magazine, Robinson and fellow actor Melvyn Douglas engaged in a heated auction, ultimately bidding a staggering $3,200 for Franklin D. Roosevelt's iconic fedora hat. This wasn't just any hat. It was the one FDR wore during his 3 victorious presidential campaigns. The auction, held in Hollywood, was meant to benefit the Motion Picture Relief Fund, but the intense rivalry between Robinson and Douglas stole the spotlight. Both men, identified as loyal Democrats, fought fiercely for the symbol of their political hero. Little did Robinson know, this act of patriotism would later be overshadowed by the McCarthy Red Scare of the 1950s, when he was grade-listed and forced to rebuild his career on stage. From bidding wars to blacklists, Robinson's life was a roller coaster of scandal and resilience. But amidst the scandals and feuds, a shocking revelation emerges, one that transcends time itself. Edward G. Robinson, the man known for his tough guy roles in Key Largo and Double Indemnity, left a legacy that defied even death. A decade after his passing, on February 5, 1983, his great-grandson, Adam Edward Sanchez, was born. This unexpected connection, through Robinson's granddaughter Francesca and her husband Ricardo, adds a poignant twist to his story. Here was a man whose life was marked by controversy and triumph, yet his lineage quietly continued, untouched by the scandals that once engulfed him. It's a reminder that even the most divisive figures can leave behind a personal legacy that endures long after the headlines fade. Robinson's story, it seems, is far from over. And just when you thought the scandals couldn't get any juicier, Edward G. Robinson found himself entangled in a bidding war, not for a Hollywood role, but for a piece of presidential history. But the real shocker? Beyond the feuds and controversies, Robinson's legacy took a surreal turn, leaving us with a revelation that defies time itself. The tough guy icon of Key Largo and Double Indemnity left behind a secret that still haunts his legacy, proving that even the most hardened stars have stories that transcend the screen.